Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. I'm very excited today. We got somebody from the East Coast, somebody that has been crushing it in the real estate market for years now, really starting off with wholesaling, and last year alone did over 80 deals just in the wholesaling, but taking that wholesaling money and starting to really transition into more syndications, more bigger commercial type of buildings and so forth. And also the income produced from wholesaling, getting rental properties, other investments that are creating generational wealth and not just being stuck in, the one category of wholesaling. And I think that's the big picture behind this, of creating generational wealth as you start growing, to really start diversifying, right? And really start spreading out your eggs in different baskets and making those multiply as well. So really excited to have Dave on today. What is up, my friend? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, Brandon?
Good, man. Good. I know you got a lot of things going on right now. You're about to transition into a new office soon, right down the street. Yep. But for anybody else that doesn't know who you are, where you're from, and what you're up to, do you mind just giving that 30,000 foot view?
Yeah, sure. So my wife and I, and let me apologize ahead of time because I'm just getting over a cough. So if you see me coughing or
dying,
yeah, that's right. So my wife and I have a wholesaling business, a real estate business that we do multiple things. And so wholesale, rental properties, flips, and scaling into multifamily commercial areas now since we started really picking up rental property in 2005. 2015 is where we said, okay, this can be a full-time thing for us. And so she was able to quit her job, I believe, in 2018, and been able to just support us in the business. And she's the yin and yang, the marketing side, and try to keeps us in line.
Yeah.
And then on the sales and, structured deals and, just that kind of side of it to the business. But
so she's the brains and beauty, and then you're the exactly. More go.
Yeah. I'm the brute strength, push things through.
Yeah.
So that's the big picture of where we stand. We're in the Philly area. So East Coast, like you said, Northeast. Yeah. And so, but we're doing things pretty much down the East Coast as far as wholesaling.
Cool. What markets are you typically focusing on?
The greater Philly area is our main one. And then, parts of Western Florida, as well as the Carolinas.
Really? Nothing in New Jersey?
If it comes through, it's just Jersey's a different beast, especially the North Jersey part, because it's close to New York. They kind of adopt some of their methodologies, but South Jersey's not bad.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we got to talk more because I'm looking for a property for my family right now, and it's been fun.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, cool. So you got 20 doors right now for rentals. Are you doing any Airbnbs at all?
We are. We have just started our second one. So it's funny because the two Airbnbs that we have are both sub 2. So something came through the pipeline last year that was, the guy just bought it 3 months before. And I'm like, it looks beautiful. It's in North Carolina by Asheville on a river. And we're just like, I can't, this has got to be, no deal here. Right.
Yeah.
And ended up giving him $50,000 and taking over his note at 3% interest. And, it puts off about $60,000 a year. So it's been great so far. And then recently, it's kind of funny the way things worked out, but bought a house sub 2, and it was a 3,000 square foot house, but it has separate in-law suite. So what we did was we rented the in-law suite or the main house, and
long-term
for $3,000 a month. My payment's $1,700. And then the Airbnb is bringing in about $1,500 a month just in the in-law suite.
No kidding.
Hey. So we hired a director of operations out of Albany, New York. So we just block off 3 or 4 days every other week for him to come down. He uses that. And so it's been working out well. But oddly enough, and I think, that's where I like the current market too. Not only is it short-term rentals, but is sub 2, because with interest rates up, all the people that have had decent mortgages from the last 5 years, 3 to 5 years, you can get some decent rates. That's not your credit.
I mean, is he making money on this deal? Why did he have the motivation, and what was his price point that he bought it?
This is the in-law suite?
The seller that you ended up picking it up for what, 60, you said?
So
or you took over the sub 2.
Took over. Both I did sub two on. The first one was in North Carolina. You would talk about that one or the local one? So that one, you know what? I never really prodded too much. I got the sense that it was like family health issues, so it just that because it was an Airbnb for 10 years. He bought it, had for a couple months, set up long-term financing and teed it up for me.
Yeah, that's so crazy. It's like just a couple months later. Wow. Really,
And so it worked out really well, and it's in place management to clean. So it's been awesome.
I love it. So, with all the businesses that you have, because, you started telling me right before we got started, you are investing in different franchises like Everbowl and then gas and oil too. When did you start diversifying, and what really led to doing that versus staying, focused on the wholesaling and real estate side of things?
I think right before COVID, a lot of people were thinking along the lines that we were, was that there's going to be a shift in the economy, a shift in the housing market, shift in the stock market. And I think COVID just skewed all that temporarily, right? And gave it a little 2-year pop, but all the money that they threw over it.
Yeah, the government just like
that's what we're feeling now, right?
Yeah.
So we were investing then, thinking that there could be a shift, and let's take some of that money, invest to generate, monthly cash flow.
Yeah.
And then, just recently or in the last year, so that was just before COVID. And then recently in the last year, we invested in some gas and oil stuff, thinking with this administration, they're going to be pushing more green, less oil. And so we've been seeing prices, pop in that regard.
Yeah, I'm sure that the ROI is starting to look sexier and sexier each and every day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So you guys started in 2005, is that right?
2005. Just picking up, just a couple of rental units. We probably sat with, I don't know, half a dozen doors for 10 years.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And just let it sit there and just kind of maintained it, and a couple sub two deals and a couple next door deals and whatever that looked like. And just, didn't really, was doing life and other stuff and didn't really know what could be done with real estate. And so I think it's that belief. We did a Fortune Builders event back in 2015. But I think if I were to say, obviously it was like smart enough, motivation, determined enough before, just didn't have that one person to lead me through it and get some of these questions answered and take you to get your first deal done, your second deal. So I think there's advice I give out there is like, find that one person, because anybody can definitely do this. Find that one person that can take you by the hand, or even if it's a group, mentorship or whatever, just get your questions answered and know that you have somebody to lean on if you needed them.
Yeah. Who was that one person for you? Or was it just the group?
I think it's the group of Fortune Builders and the boot camps. And then, I was telling somebody else this morning, but every group that we've been a part of, whether it's Fortune Builders or Masterminds or Connect or whatever it was, the information is decent, right? Like it's good information, tactical information, but we've really grown. And the person that I've leaned on is, connecting with that person offline, and keep maintaining. So building relationships at the groups, at the events, at the masterminds, and having those conversations individually to build the relationship and help you get to the next level.
Yeah, I truly couldn't even agree more. Like, honestly, it's like sometimes the content's good, but the networking is really everything. Again, that true friendship or just the connection. I've had so many people just like trade value with stuff that they would sell naturally for $30,000 or $50,000. And it's like, just because we connected, we were in the same mastermind group together, it's unreal. So
100%.
Really powerful.
Nice.
So what were you guys doing before real estate? And kind of teeter-totting for those years. Yeah,
exactly. So I used to be a CPA, but I was got away from that and was more in the sales and the recruiting part around finance and accounting and just different sales roles. And then my wife was in the sales role for dialysis. So she was like more in the medical side of things.
Okay. I love it. How'd you guys meet?
My neighbor, she bought the house next to a friend of mine who owned the house. And consequently, I just bought that house recently. So I own both houses together.
Oh, I love it. Real estate brought you guys together. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Yep. Cool. So talk to us about like, when it comes down to this market, there's a lot of people out there that are, I wouldn't say complaining, but like, if they're just getting started, it may be more difficult at the end of the day. There's a lot of competitors and sharks like us that are paying higher or just being more competitive, and the price is just getting bidded up like crazy. you guys doing wholesaling as the main source to get
Sure.
off market leads at decent rates. What type of tips and tricks would you give on the marketing aspect?
Sure. So it's a good question. I would say, why do things get bid up?
Yeah, supply and demand. There's not enough properties and everybody wants it.
Partly true, right? But in order to get bid up, you would have had to have multiple bids, right?
Competition. Yeah.
Competition. So
Yeah.
if you didn't have competition, who's going to bid it up?
Yeah, no one. Yeah.
So if you're the only one in the conversation, then the seller doesn't have to, you don't have to match somebody's thing or be right. So that's what the MLS typically provides is competition for things to sell.
Yep.
And you to outbid yourself or negotiate against yourself or whatever you want to, however you want to look at, right? So we took the stance of, marketing. We spend about $40,000 to $45,000 a month on various forms of marketing to connect with sellers off market and to take down properties, whether we're wholesaling, we're keep them for flips or rentals, whatever, but just to be the only ones in that conversation.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's, I think the key to really any of like the people that are doing direct to seller marketing is really to be, to not create chaos.
Yeah, that's good. And, at the end of the day, you got to pay to play, right? So you guys are investing a good amount per month to be able to get those leads coming in to knock out, 9 to 10 deals a month. Right. And you also aren't chasing, quantity, you're chasing quality. And, so I'm sure you let several go that just aren't in your bucket of certain profit margins.
Yeah. Right. And we try to, because things always go sideways. If you try to make like $3,000 to $5,000 on a wholesale, something easily can go sideways, especially when you're dealing not only out of state, but virtually.
Yeah.
And somebody says, oh, no, the place is turnkey, doesn't need anything. And you get pictures, it's easy to it's a rounding error when you're talking about some of the, selling a $200,000 or $300,000 house and it's a $3,000 spread that you had. So
just imagine all the filters on Instagram when people make themselves look beautiful out of nowhere. You can do it with houses too.
100%. Right. So I think the thing is just really, put enough spread in there. And then if there's like, okay, hey, you know what, how can we try to monetize everything that we can? So you have, the basic thing is getting at a price point that you can wholesale. And the only reason that you can wholesale it is somebody that wants to fix and flip is using whatever formula they can make enough money, depending if they're a 10, 12, 15% investor. Okay. Sure. So then we have that level to where it makes sense for them. And then I would say you have the next level of people that, hey, you know what? I don't need to make 15% because I own other properties in that area. I'm really just looking at bury taxes. I want to hold things long-term. I'm willing to pay 80 or 85%. And then you have the people above that were, I would say, are more retail buyers. And so maybe trying to get a small discount, maybe like 5% or something like that. And so they're the people that we like to do novations on, and that we like to wholesale to the retail market, try to monetize everything that we can. So, because we pay a lot to actually have the phone ring. So if something comes across, we don't want to thumb our nose on it because we can only, make a couple grand. The focus is really like, how can we best serve the seller?
Yes.
Are they really in a position where they really need our help? A lot of times sellers, especially over these last 2 years, haven't been making payments. Sometimes you need to help sellers get out of their own way. And sometimes if they're in their own way and they haven't been making payments, now they're behind, they need help getting to the other side of that because they're consistent. And so they're consistently, then you go to get it under contract and they're consistently dragging their feet, getting you docs and payoffs and things like that, which is the whole reason that put them in that situation to begin with. Right. So we just really try to hold the hand of the seller and try to get them to the other side if that's, what they're really looking for.
That's good. No, I love it. That's what it's all about. When you're in the people business and just over delivering, over serving people, you create a good name for yourself, good karma, and then it always comes back.
Yep.
Talk to me about the numbers for a second. For anybody out there, I know you're diving into it a little bit right there, but do you have like a percentage wise or a certain profit that you like to stay within?
Yeah. Our average wholesale is about 23,000. So, trying to keep that average up and keep it going north. But again, we're not going to work away from like 10, 12, 15,000 if we have something that we can, make a win-win for everything, at least if it's even a break even, to pay for leads and whatever it looks like. But that's mainly just depending on, that's just on the wholesale side.
Sure.
And then the flips are, end up being different.
How many flips are you guys doing per year?
I think last year we did 2 or 3.
Yeah.
We're just
really
doing
cherry
less and less. We're cherry picking them, and we're doing less and less every year because it's just number one in this market with the supply. You can just clean them up and put them out there and wholesale them.
Yeah.
And make 80% of what you would have made and not have to deal with these contractors that want $100 an hour to, paint something or whatever it is.
Yeah. Contractors, I mean, it's a whole different game. So a whole different mindset and everything. And
supply
really
chain and 100%.
Yeah. Especially with everything since COVID, like every couple months, it's like things are getting jacked up. I got a quote the other month, and by the time I finally pulled the trigger, it was like 3 weeks later. The guy was like, "Oh, price already went up on some of the materials." It's like, I don't know if they're pulling my leg or what.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy
stuff. So
talk to me about the marketing channels. I know you guys are pouring in 40 to 45K a month. How many different channels are you guys utilizing, and which one in your market is really hitting the home runs?
I think about 4 right now. We have direct mail, TV, PPC, and
TV.
TV,
really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that's fairly new to us, so we don't have a lot of data to report on it just yet. But it's just
follow back up with you on that. I'm really curious. Yeah.
So to see, what that looks like, we're just trying to do a lot. So what we've seen and found is that I guess there's some unscientific data of branded versus non-branded marketing, but there's a lot of people that they want you to know, especially when you're dealing virtually, that there's some credibility behind the person that's on the other side of the phone. So if you can do that with TV, with reviews, with Google, Facebook, then that's powerful. So we're using it more as, yes, it brings in leads. I don't know that we've closed anything from it just yet in the last month, because like I said, it's only about a month old. But from the branding standpoint, it helps. Like, hey, did you see us on TV or somewhere else? Oh, you're on TV or whatever that looks like. So that I think that helps people feel more comfortable.
That's good. And I'm sorry, I cut you off, but what were the other channels? It was TV,
direct mail, and PPC.
PPC. Okay, cool. And then what is really, I guess, your favorite lead source?
It's a good question. I mean, we've done so much. We've literally done them all. I guess the only things that we're not doing now that we've done in the past have been cold calling, texting, and Facebook. I'll tell you, my least favorite is Facebook. Yeah.
Talk to me. Why?
It just seems like the people that, I don't know if it's just the targeting, and there's some different rules. Yeah, because the way Facebook lines it up, if you said, hey, I just want to buy in, this zip code or whatever, you're profiling. There's all sorts of rules around stuff like that. When you're like, no, I just,
a lot.
So they make it difficult to pinpoint. And then you end up getting people, I would do a parameter around Philly, just like a box, and cut off Jersey. And I get Jersey leads all the time, and they would just push me stuff. And so it's just, and then people that don't want to buy houses that they want to, or don't want to sell houses, they actually want to rent a house. And it's just not even close to where
wasting your lead money, your ad money.
I was just to say probably but I like the digital. I like the, YouTube or the PPC, getting out there digitally and trying to attract people to come to you.
Are you doing any Bandit Signs over there or in the past?
We have. That's how we started.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. There. And then, targeting probates. That's one of the things I wasn't say earlier. Like, we're spending a lot of money on marketing, $500,000 a year, but we didn't start that way. Right. Like, and so people starting out, like they just don't have the ad spend for that or whatever it looks like. And so I would say, focusing, doing, you could get, I know Carlos Reyes, he loves to show his sign of just like, white cardboard with a Sharpie or whatever. It doesn't take much. It's more of it's the hustle out there and look, driving for dollars and, just looking for things that are run down, knocking on doors, whatever that looks like. There's so many things that you can do that doesn't cost you a cent.
Good.
And, I think we've gotten a couple deals just posting in like online yard sales in Facebook. So if you're in a online yard sale and be like, hey, my wife and I are looking for, a property in the area, looking to buy with, something that's not listed off market without a realtor, as is kind of thing, and putting it out there to just to get some activity going. We've gotten deals that we've done very well on just from free marketing like that.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like it. Yeah. I mean, just like you said, like nobody starts off right from the beginning, tossing out 40 to 45,000, $500,000 a year towards marketing, but understanding your demographics, like understanding your area, because, what is the lead, I guess, per deal cost for you guys in your area?
About 3,000.
About 3K. Yeah. So out here in San Diego, so knowing your locations, like area specific, because out here it's going to cost more, you're closer to like $9,000 dollars per lead. But then understanding like not to give up before. I remember doing direct mail marketing, and that's a long-term type of game, because in the beginning, you're going to hit 6 to 10 different touch points sent to them, and you could get a lead after like a year and a half of finally, hitting them. So you really got to be persistent and not give up, that 3 feet from gold type of mentality.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and if I spend $3,000 to make, 40 or 50 grand, and you spend $9,000 to make 150 grand, it's not really any different. It's just your market. So knowing, like you say, your market, and knowing that like, hey, I'm going to have deeper pockets to go on longer.
Do it here. Yeah.
To do it there.
Yeah.
To get to those deals, because it's worth it to, in your market, because if I'm going to make 6 figures on something, it's the entry point is going to be higher, like marketing wise.
Yep. That's really good. I love it. Talk to me about learning curves for a second. I know you've been doing this for years now, so there's got to be one or two, but anything that you would say either for marketing or just like, the real estate business as a whole, for anybody just getting started potentially, like what has really smacked you in the face a few times that you're just like, man, we can't do this again?
I would say the biggest thing about probably any business, but specifically real estate, is just really knowing your numbers and tracking your numbers when you're small.
Yeah.
Excuse me, because that way, as you grow, it's easier to, make pivot points, like, okay, analyzing this after 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and then you can build some data over a quarter, year over year, trailing 12, whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
So you can assess and make informed decisions. Like, hey, you know what? February last year, I spent 40 grand and I got nothing from it, and the market's just dead. I'm just going to take that 40 grand and go sit on a beach somewhere or whatever it might be. But like analyzing, so like, hey, you know what? June is my time to shine because I killed it last year. I'm going to take that 40 grand and put it into June. Yep. So just really like knowing your numbers is key. I would say the other thing is, so being a former CPA, I know my numbers, and not my strong suit, not where I want to spend my time, not where I enjoy spending my time. So if you're familiar with personality index and what Sharper uses, we hired them as consultants to come in. So I highly recommend them. But if you look at who I am and personality wise and what I like doing, I'm modifying my behavior to actually do some of those things, which doesn't serve anybody.
No.
And there's this statistic that like when you modify to do those things, you're going to do it 34% worse than somebody else that you would hire that's actually good at it.
And enjoys it, right? Like that's
enjoys it. So you're doing something that's making you miserable and you're doing it worse. So just push off the things that you can delegate and it's not paying you what you're worth to replace.
That's good. Yeah. I think, just like you said, like, even though you have a CPA background, right? You have a numbers background, even though that's, not your strongest suit or something that you enjoy doing, it's something, there's many people out there that like, they didn't have that background and they're postponing the numbers or the data and not staying organized. And truthfully, it's going to set you up for so much failure in the future. And just spiraling out of control. Like really, you got to know your numbers so that you can have your KPIs on track. And then you can know like, hey, every year, this month or these couple weeks, I'm always struggling. And there's, but the next ones after that, we can really dump money into because we're going to have a huge ROI. So that it's really, really crucial to know your numbers from the start and stay organized because, it's not one of those things that you want to, postpone. And then as you're growing, well, then I'll focus on my numbers. You're going to waste so much time and money doing it.
Right. 100%.
Cool. Well, when it comes down to, the learning curves, you ended up mentioning, the first one you mentioned.
It's probably the number part of that tracking your stuff. Is that it? Yeah. So just that's the thing that like, I think we probably, and we weren't the best at it. I have a director's operation now that is just awesome with that and like managing that stuff, but for us. And so just tracking that as early as possible, because we probably wasted so much money. I know we did.
Yeah.
Just guessing at things that, we got to make the phone ring more. Let's do this. This guy says he can do well, or other people are doing well, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work. I remember March a year ago, we spent $17,000 in direct mail, like one, maybe two calls. So
really?
Yeah, it's just not worth, so, and with the right data, we could, maybe we would have spent the money in a different area, a different message or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
adjust it.
Tracking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And whether it's the same people with a different postcard or different touches.
How many people are working with you guys now? And like, what kind of divisions in the company do you have?
So we have, there's 8 of us, and so 6 are in the office and 2 are virtual. So we have a commercial division that we're working on a couple of different like strip malls and just building out the commercial portfolio.
Yeah.
We like the numbers there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of like it's like the San Diego market for the rest of us.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Numbers out here are just so wild, but it depends on the market.
For sure. And so we're enjoying the commercial space of just, it's not as competitive, right? Like you're dealing with typically savvy sellers who are familiar with, in the commercial world, it's expected for you to be creative in seller financing and bring money and syndicate or whatever.
Which I love. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right. And otherwise, but we love both. So, right. We're not just like, hey, but I think that there's opportunity in the commercial space, and there's areas that we can, exploit, and just for lack of a better word, but bringing value add to properties and helping sellers out. That it's the same thing as like, the seller doesn't pay their mortgage and, whatever it is on the residential side. Then you got the guy who doesn't pay their taxes on the commercial side, or has neglected it, deferred maintenance, and is not rented up. So there's those people there too. So
are you going after those leads the same way for wholesaling?
So cold calling we're really looking for stuff, again, still more local, and some, southern, more local on the commercial side, just easier to manage, and being leaning on the branding, I would say, for local stuff with that. So yes, that's a similar message, but coming across in a different way. Like our acquisitions guy, lead manager guy is calling a lot of people, emailing.
So as far as data goes, I mean, data is like everything, especially in your space, because if you're dealing with crappy data, then you're going to get crappy results, man. So where are you getting your data, and how are you guys scrubbing it clean, making sure that it's the best of the best?
Yeah. So we have been using, for the last, what I recommend is, I like Direct Skip for skipping, and they do nationwide stuff. It's Mark Evans' company. And then for data, we've used some Atom data. We've used, I think, between ListSource and Atom data is probably where the majority of our data has come from. I don't know that there's a huge disparity. It's all county data. The skipping's the main point.
It is, yeah.
So we've been happy with Direct Skip, and you buy in bulk, you can, save some money or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, that's good. So what kind of goals do you guys have moving forward? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? I know last year you did 80 wholesale deals, 1.7 million. And then, this year you're aiming for, the goal is 2.2?
2.5. And so we're on track to do 2.2 right now, which we need a catch up a little bit, but it's not just the, I don't want to say we don't care about the revenue numbers. We do.
Yeah.
We care about the net income number. So really just getting rid of the inefficiencies, being better at knowing the numbers will help us just be better at that kind of stuff. So that's what we're trying to, we want to not only do, the year before we did 115 or 1.2. So we grew about $500,000, but we didn't make that much more because we were ramping up our expenses with the marketing and everything like that. So we want to just, growing is great, but we also want to increase the net income at the same time.
Yeah. You don't want to, look down the road making $100 million a year, but still in the same profit margin as you were, in the beginning.
Right. Exactly.
That's good. So why are you guys moving right now? You're doing a transition, right?
Yeah, we already, actually, we do need more space. So we're in about, 1,000, 1,200 square feet, and we bought a building that has 4 units and it's 4,500 square feet. So
You bought the building.
We bought the building. So
Wow.
yeah, so we bought it and we're going to pay ourselves, be the tenant, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
Right off to the business. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So right off to the business and we control it. It's a great location. So we'll get people with, we plan to do some, we're not moving until June 1st because it's being a renovator right now, but like there's 10-foot flags that say like we buy houses or whatever it is. So that are just because there's 27,000 cars that go by. It's a, 4-lane thing. So we got great visibility. And then we have a couple different, like I said, 4 units. And, we're talking about, either partnering with somebody for either a title company or a real estate brokerage in the back unit.
All in-house.
Yes, right. So it's all right there, capitalizing on some stuff that we're giving money away to right now.
Oh.
And so, yeah, and just like not giving the money away in rent that we're doing right now and us being the landlord.
Yeah, and having control, man. That's what it's all about. You'll never get kicked out of this one, right?
Right. So
I love it.
Sure. So yeah, it's an exciting move. And just giving the guys more of so obviously you're only going to put so much effort or customization into a rented space. So doing the things with, some like they don't know yet, but like a pop-up shot and some like cool things like that have people like just like downtime in the break room or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's what it's all about. Cool, man. Well, for anybody out there that's listening that might just feel like stuck in the beginning weeds of real estate, anything that you would give as words of advice? You've been there and done it already.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, there's 2 things that if I were someone marooned me, I guess, and I didn't know what I know now, I would, find the biggest player in the market and see if you could just shadow, work for him for free, do whatever you can do. Right. Good. And 2 is like, there's so much content on YouTube that you could just, anything that you want to find out about, tips or tricks or whatever to figure out, just Google YouTube or, search YouTube as far as like, real estate marketing or real estate wholesaling, low cost or for free or whatever you can do to, get some ideas. Someone mentioned once that I saw recently about just, it's like give 99% or give everything away to people like in charge of, because 99% of the people are going to do nothing with it.
I know. It's so sad. It's so true though. It is.
And so there's not a lack of information out there, right?
Yeah.
There's so much information. There's just a lack of action and people believing in themselves. So if you can, buddy up with somebody to take them by the arm and just help them along the way, do the first deal or whatever it is. And it might cost you people. So you guys have to invest in yourself. And you might say, hey, listen, I will pay or I will give away 50% of the profit to you. I'll give away 80%, whatever. Like there's a guy in my neighborhood, not my neighborhood, but actually who I bought the office from. And he's made about $100 million in the last year in commercial real estate. Like, would I be willing to, hey, here's a deal. And like, I'll give whatever to walk me through. And make
100% of it.
Yeah. Right. Just to be in the conversation with him, see how he thinks and whatever to, just to not make it's like the adage of, learn from other people's mistakes. You'll never live long enough to make them all yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's so true, man. That's great advice right there. Yeah, honestly, like if I could do anything different, I wish when I first got started that I was smart enough to know that there's other people out there doing it and that I could just like find the main person. I didn't realize about mentors or even that they would be willing to share that stuff with me.
Sure. Absolutely.
But just like you said, it's like give out all that information because it's out there first off, and so many people just simply won't take action on it. So that's great.
Right. And if they do, right, like so you and me were sharing this information and someone says, hey, you know what? I stumbled across this deal. I don't know what to do with it. And then they come to you and I, and we can JV with them and, make
it a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, dude, man, I'm so excited for your growth and where you guys are heading. It's really exciting to see and just really proud of you, man. It's awesome. So I appreciate you so much giving your time for the listeners and to me. Anything that myself or the listeners could do to give back to you?
I mean, just, we don't coach or do anything like that. So we don't really have anything. You know what? There's actually, I want to make sure I'm quoting it right, but a book that I'm reading right now with my son and it's called Get Free Houses from Austin Rutherford. He's a friend of mine, but that would be I don't know, it's a $4 or $5 book on Amazon. That would be a great book that I would say someone that's like done less than 10 deals, get that book. Get something that, I don't have anything. I don't think Austin cares if you buy his $4 book for the $4 at least. But, just, follow these people and track their stuff and see what they're doing and see how you can support them. But, just use some of the tips and tricks that he's learned, started investing when he was 20 years old to just build something for your family. So there's, again, tons of resources out there. It's just about you taking the action. And so is it going to be, what's the saying? Someday or day one,
Yeah. When's the best time? Probably now, right?
Yeah. One day or day one, I guess it is.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. We've had Austin on in the past as well. We got to have him back on, but yeah, guys, get that book. That's an awesome one and just great education behind it, and just take action on this stuff, really implement what you're learning and you'll see the results and the fruit from it. So anyway, Dave, man, I appreciate you greatly. I really do. I'm very thankful for you, brother. And we'll have to follow up and see where you guys are at in another year or two. How can people get a hold of you?
They can follow me on Facebook at David Coyle, or I think it's Dave Coyle 7 on Instagram.
Cool. Okay, awesome. And then guys, if you want to get a hold of me, you can do so on Instagram. It's Brandon Elliott Investments, otherwise facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. If you need any credit repair done for you services, you can check out creditrepairmobile.com. Otherwise, if you're looking to get educated on how the banks and lenders are judging you, how to fix your own credit very quickly. We have people with bankruptcies right now, removing them in a couple hours. Collections, you name it. And then afterwards, after cleaning your credit, being able to build up massive amounts of credit, getting several 6 figures, even 7 figures in funding, and then putting it to work and leveraging it and making a killing from it, real estate, e-commerce, whatever it may be for you, whatever you're passionate about. Check out creditcounselelite.com. That's creditcounselelite.com. And you'll be able to get more info. But with that being said, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast so you get the newest notification every single Monday. And we will see you on the next episode. Make sure to leave a 5-star review. Appreciate you guys all greatly, and God bless. Dave, appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Brandon. Have a great day.
You too, man. Stay blessed.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.